Hi there, I'm Lacey. It started with a phone call, my parents telling me I had to pay back my brother's $590,000 loan. They said it was my duty. I smiled, but inside, I broke. Turns out the signature on the loan wasn't just fake, it was mine forged, by my own family. And that dinner where I finally confronted them? My mom looked me in the eye and said, "Family helps each other," but I was never the one being helped. The phone rang just as I placed my keys on the counter. I had barely taken off my coat. Midweek silence filled the apartment, no TV, no music, just the soft hum of the fridge. The number on the screen was unfamiliar, area code from somewhere in state. For a second, I considered ignoring it, but something gut instinct maybe made me swipe to answer. "Is this Lacey Monroe?" "Yes," I replied cautious. "This is Shelby from Liberty National Bank. We're reaching out regarding the mortgage under your name. It's in serious default. The outstanding balance is $590,000. I didn't respond right away. I couldn't. My pulse slammed in my ears. "There must be some mistake," I finally managed. "I don't own a home. I rent. I've never applied for a mortgage in my life." "I understand, but the loan originated 3 years ago. All documents are under your name. We've sent multiple notices. This is our final attempt before further legal action." The room tilted. I gripped the edge of the counter to steady myself. After hanging up, I sat down slowly, trying to remember if I'd ever co-signed anything. The only possibility, buried in the back of my mind, was a conversation with my younger brother Dorian years ago. "I just need someone to stand in for a bit, you know? Paperwork stuff. Doesn't mean anything." I'd brushed it off then. He always had a way of saying things that felt harmless, urgent, but vague. And our mother had backed him up, saying, "He's got big dreams, Lacey. Don't crush them." I didn't agree to anything. Not officially. At least I didn't think I had. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept scrolling through emails, old messages, legal junk ID long forgotten. Dorian had a history of making impulsive financial moves. But this was something else entirely. Fraud, maybe, or worse. I pulled out my file box, the one I only touched during tax season. I found nothing unusual at first, but in an envelope marked Employment Docs, buried under an old pay stub, I saw it. A printed mortgage application, my name, my social security number, my signature. Except it wasn't mine. Not quite. My signature has a slight hook at the tail of the Y in Lacey. This one didn't. The slant was too perfect, too smooth, like someone had practiced, copied, faked. I dropped the paper on the floor. My hands trembled. That wasn't a mistake, it was a choice. And whoever made it, did it with full knowledge of what they were doing. I thought of Dorian's charm, how he could lie without blinking, and how many times our mother had covered for him. How many times I'd been told to let it go, or be the bigger person. But this wasn't spilled milk or missed rent. This was my life, my future. That wasn't my signature. And suddenly everything got a lot darker. I stared at the document like it had bitten me. There was no denying it anymore. The signature looked like mine hell. It was almost beautiful in its imitation, but I could see what they couldn't. The tail of the M was too smooth. The angle of the letters too uniform. I knew my own handwriting, especially on legal forms I never signed. I closed the laptop and pressed my palms hard against my temples. My mind was already racing to the only possible explanation. This wasn't a clerical error. Someone had planned this deliberately. Calculated, rehearsed. And only one name came up in my head. Dorian. 3 years ago, he asked for help co-signing something just on paper, he'd said. "You're the one with the credit. Come on, Lacey, it's just temporary." I hadn't even responded, and I certainly never signed anything. But here it was. Ink that wasn't mine, attached to a loan I didn't know existed. My name, my identity, used like it belonged to someone else. My trust, sold off behind my back. I didn't cry, not this time. I sat quietly with the screen still glowing beside me and made a decision. Sunday came too fast. The table was set like it always was. Pot roast, mashed potatoes, Arlene's too sweet lemonade. Dorian was already there, grinning, acting like nothing had happened. Cliff sat in his usual seat, silent as ever. My mother floated from kitchen to dining room like a 1950s sitcom, wife smiling, humming. No one noticed how stiffly I moved when I took my place. No one asked why I hadn't said a word since I arrived. We made it through dinner, barely. Dorian droned on about car troubles. Arlene laughed too hard at something Cliff muttered. I waited until the last fork scraped the plate. I have a question, I said, voice low, even. 3 sets of eyes turned to me. Anyone know anything about a mortgage under my name? Dead silence. Dorian blinked first. Well, wait, what are you talking about? Arlene's smile faded. Lacey, honey, this isn't the time. Actually, I interrupted, it is. Dorian leaned back. You must have misunderstood. I used your name just for the paperwork. It's not like it's hurting anything. You forged my signature. Arlene reached for my hand across the table. I didn't let her touch me. Sweetheart, it was for family. You're not even making payments. We thought you'd be okay with it. You thought I wouldn't find out. Cliff cleared his throat but didn't speak. Not a word. As always, I scanned their faces. Dorian, defensive. Arlene, playing innocent. Cliff, detached. And all of them, every single one, acting like I was the problem. Thanks for the honesty, I said, my voice steady. But inside, the storm had only just begun. It wasn't just the loan, it was the weight of being invisible my whole life. I sat in the dark, curled on my living room floor, the bank documents spread out like crime scene photos. The silence in my apartment wasn't peaceful. It was thick, suffocating, the kind of silence that lets the truth echo louder. I kept seeing their faces from dinner, Arlene brushing off my anger with a smile, Cliff refusing to meet my eyes, Dorian playing dumb. They'd stolen from me, not just money, but dignity. And yet none of them even flinched. This wasn't new. I thought back to my college graduation. I'd waited alone outside the auditorium, cap in hand, watching other students get pulled into hugs and cameras flashing. My parents never showed. They'd called the next day with a weak apology. Something came up. Dorian's car broke down. Of course it did. Years later, when I got promoted to department lead, I told them during dinner. Arlene barely blinked. Oh, that's nice, sweetie, she'd said, right before launching into Dorian's latest job loss. I was always the steady one, the one who didn't need help. And because of that, they thought they could use me like a spare key, kept in a drawer until it was convenient. I rubbed my hands down my face and stood. The folder on the table wasn't going to build itself. I pulled open my printer drawer and started gathering the PDF with the forged signature, the overdue letters, my credit score alert. One by one, I slipped them into clear sleeves. Not for drama, not for revenge, for proof. If they had the nerve to lie to my face, I needed to protect mine. After a while, I paused and reached for an old shoebox tucked on the top shelf of my closet. Inside were birthday cards. To our responsible girl, most of them read. Not loved, not admired, just responsible. Like a dependable tool. Like a piece of furniture that never complains. It hit me then. They didn't cherish me. They relied on me because I never asked for anything in return. All those years I thought I was being loved, I was just being used. I opened my laptop. This time, I wasn't searching for comfort. I was searching for a lawyer. The sun had barely risen. I hadn't slept more than 2 hours, but I didn't feel tired. I felt clear, focused. The kind of sharp awareness that comes after betrayal has burned through every last excuse. By 9 a.m., I was seated at a coffee shop downtown, a stack of printed documents in my bag, and a name written on a napkin, Harlan Kovac-Creel, estate fraud attorney. A contact passed to me through a colleague who whispered, he doesn't ask dumb questions, he just fixes problems. He arrived 5 minutes early, gray suit, steady eyes, no small talk. I slid the folder across the table. He opened it, scanned the papers, flipped page after page without blinking. When he finally looked up, his tone was steady. This isn't messy paperwork. This is identity fraud. I nodded once. Can we do something about it? Oh yes, he said, and we will. For the first time in days, I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. This wasn't about drama. It wasn't about Dorian anymore. This was about men not letting this ruin what I'd built. By late afternoon, I walked into the Spokane Police Department. The walls smelled like over-bleached tile and stale coffee. I stepped up to the counter and asked to file a report. The officer looked through my documents. So, your brother did this? He asked, careful but still surprised. My family? Yes, I said simply. But that's not the point. This is illegal. He nodded, stamped the papers, and handed me a copy of the report. It felt heavier than it looked, like it held years of silence. I drove home with the report on the passenger seat. I didn't stop for groceries. I didn't call anyone. That night, I sat at my kitchen table, sealed a certified letter to the bank with everything inside, the mortgage, the police report, my statement. I wrote every word carefully, not as a plea, not as an apology, as evidence. I slipped it into the outgoing mail slot downstairs and turned to head back up. My phone buzzed. A message from Arlene. I didn't read the message. Whatever it said, it didn't matter anymore. 3 days later, she showed up at my door as if nothing had happened. Arlene stood in the hallway holding a pie. A damn pie. Like we were in some Hallmark movie where fraud could be patched with cinnamon and fake smiles. "Hi, honey," she said, as if my silence had only been about missed phone calls. "Can we talk?" I didn't say anything. I stepped aside, and she walked in without waiting for permission. She placed the pie on my kitchen counter and turned to face me. We never meant for things to get so messy. Messy. That was her word for identity theft. "I mean, you could have kept this in the family, Lacey," she added. "You didn't have to drag outsiders into it." I kept my arms crossed. "As your brother. We just thought he's always struggled." "You thought I'd stay quiet," I cut in. Again. She flinched. "This isn't you. You don't blow things up like this." "No," I said, "but I warned you, and you didn't listen." For a second she looked like she might cry. Then she straightened her back, scooped up the pie, and walked to the door. Before she opened it, she turned and said, "You're tearing this family apart." I tilted my head. "I didn't forge anything. I'm just not cleaning it up this time." She blinked. I could see her mouth moving, trying to come up with another excuse, another guilt trip. But I was done listening. I walked over and closed the door, gently, right in the middle of her sentence. The silence that followed was the loudest sound in my life. Back inside, my knees buckled, but I didn't cry. I sat on the floor, hands gripping my sleeves. I stayed like that until my phone vibrated. 10 missed calls, 3 voicemails, all from Arlene, then 5 from Dorian. I deleted them all without listening. I tossed the phone onto the couch, letting my head rest back against the wall. Maybe now, finally, the chaos would settle. But then, my screen lit up again, this time with a call from HR at work. I thought the worst was behind me, but then my job called. "We received a concerning email about your character, Lacey." That's how it started. The HR manager's voice on the other end of the call was carefully neutral, the kind of voice people use when they're handling a grenade. I was seated at my desk, coffee cooling beside my keyboard. I didn't move. "The message was anonymous," she continued, "but it included specific claims that you'd committed fraud, that you're unstable, unfit for leadership." I swallowed the heat rising in my throat. "I'd like to see that email," I said, calm but clipped. She hesitated. "It was flagged to be confidential. I am being accused of a felony. You can show me the email." An hour later, it sat on my screen. The language, the phrasing, subtle jabs about my history of control issues, about how I used legal threats to silence family. One sentence even called me calculated. It had Dorian written all over it. I printed it out. That night, my apartment turned into a war room. I laid out every document on the kitchen table: dates, messages, screenshots, the police report, even the certified bank letter. I created a timeline from the first mortgage notice to the voicemail from HR. I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused. I drafted an email to the legal team at work, attached the full binder in a zip file, and added one line. "Please see the verified legal report attached, disputing the false claims. No long explanation, no defense, just facts." I wasn't asking to be believed. I was showing what couldn't be denied. By 11 p.m., I closed my laptop and walked to the window. Spokane's city lights flickered like a nervous system. I texted Harlan, "It's getting dirty. I need full protection." The reply came within minutes. Then we hit back. Hard. It wasn't about just clearing my name anymore. It was about ending his game for good. At 9 a.m. sharp, I sat across from Harlan in his downtown office, surrounded by manila folders, timelines, and legal pads. He pushed a stack toward me. "These are the subpoenas. We're going after everything. Emails, bank authorizations, internal loan approvals. I signed every document without hesitation. This wasn't just paperwork, it was my war paint. By noon, we had filed a civil suit for identity theft and defamation. Harlan's paralegal printed off my credit reports with sharp red mark slate notices, a credit drop I never caused. Each page was another nail in Dorian's coffin. 2 days later, Harlan called me back in. Dorian's filed a response. I knew better than to expect remorse. The packet was thick. Inside, he claimed I had willingly co-signed the mortgage as a gift of support. He even included an email string that looked like I had agreed. I skimmed it twice, my stomach hardening. Then I flipped open my actual inbox. Metadata, timestamps, IP addresses. The difference wasn't just obvious, it was laughable. He forgot I work in compliance, I told Harlan, who raised an eyebrow and smirked. That night, I sat on the edge of my bed, drafting my personal statement for court. Not just facts. Truth. I was always the reliable one, the safe one, until my loyalty became his weapon. I saved the document, closed my laptop, and stared at the calendar. Tomorrow was the hearing. No more emails, no more polite calls, no more quiet dinners where I swallowed what they fed me. Tomorrow we take it to court, and this time I won't be quiet. The courtroom smelled like coffee, nerves, and cheap paper, but I had never felt more ready. The judge called the case number. I walked up to the stand with a spine of steel, dressed in navy, my hair pinned back. Harlan handed the judge our folder. Inside were the forged documents, metadata reports, the police complaint, and every email in proper order. My voice didn't shake as I spoke. I didn't authorize that loan. That is not my signature. Across from me, Dorian adjusted his collar. His lawyer tried to steer things toward miscommunication and family misunderstanding, but the judge wasn't having it. We're not here to mediate family tension, she said, skimming our packet. We're here to evaluate fraud. Dorian's team introduced the fabricated emails. I asked the judge if I could speak. She nodded. I have the originals. I can show you the discrepancy in the metadata timestamps, device logs, even geolocation. They don't match. I handed the evidence to the clerk. Silence followed. Dorian wouldn't look at me. His attorney's confidence melted with each fact I delivered. The judge tapped her pen twice and looked straight at him. Enough. What followed was swift. The mortgage is declared fraudulent. Miss Ellis is absolved of liability. Liberty Bank is ordered to issue a formal apology. This court recommends civil damages. Referral for potential criminal proceedings is under review. I didn't move. I didn't cheer. I didn't cry. I just breathed. Outside the courtroom, Arlene and Cliff stood near the hallway bench. She opened her mouth, maybe to apologize, maybe to spin it. I didn't wait to find out. I walked past her like she wasn't even there. The sun had moved behind the clouds, but I felt lighter. I got into my car, shut the door, and rested my hands on the wheel. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel like I owed anyone anything. Some endings don't come with applause, just space and silence. 2 weeks after the verdict, they came. I was rinsing dishes when I caught a shadow through the peephole. Arlene, Cliff, and behind them, Dorian. He didn't look at the door. He stared at his shoes like they held answers he'd never find. Arlene knocked, then again softer. Lacey, sweetheart, we made mistakes. We should have handled this differently. Cliff cleared his throat. We need your help. We didn't mean for it to go so far. Still, Dorian said nothing. I opened the door, but not all the way. I didn't lean in. I didn't flinch. You didn't ask for help, I said. You demanded it, lied for it. And when I said no, you punished me. They didn't argue. That was new. I hope you get the help you actually need, I added, voice steady. But it's not going to be from me. Then I closed the door. Softly, deliberately. And I didn't look back. Saturday morning arrived with gentle sun and no emails. I walked through the farmer's market, toad on my shoulder, fingers brushing tomatoes and tulips. I bought a small bouquet yellow tulips, cream roses, without needing to explain to anyone why. The florist asked, "For someone special?" "Yeah," I said. "Me." Back home, I arranged the flowers in the chipped ceramic vase I always meant to replace but never did. I didn't need a new version of myself. I just needed room to breathe. That evening, I sat on my balcony. A cup of tea warmed my hands. The sky blushed orange over Spokane's rooftops. I journaled a single line. I don't owe them forgiveness. I owe myself peace. I turned on soft music and let it play while the sun dipped lower. There was no closure speech, no dramatic monologue, just air, light, quiet. Sometimes walking away isn't weakness. It's the loudest strength there is. Before I close this chapter, let me leave you with something personal. If there's one thing I've learned through all of this, it's that silence doesn't make you noble. And loyalty isn't the same as love. Sometimes, the people who say we're family the loudest are the ones who'll use your kindness as currency. I used to believe that setting boundaries made me selfish. But the truth is, boundaries saved me. Speaking up didn't tear my family apart, they did that themselves, long before I ever said a word. I just finally stopped pretending not to see it. To anyone watching this, if you're in a situation where you're constantly made to feel guilty for protecting your peace, please know, you are not wrong for choosing yourself. You are not cruel for walking away from pain dressed up as loyalty. Your voice matters, even if it shakes. And now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been blamed for doing the right thing? Have you ever been told that's just how family is as an excuse to stay quiet? I'd love to know how you see it. Drop a 1 in the comments if this story resonated with you, or tell me what state you're watching from. If it didn't speak to you, I'm still grateful you made it this far. Let me know why in the comments and where you're tuning in from. And if you want to hear more real stories like this, stories about strength, truth, and healing, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one.
Hi, I'm Amelia Parker, and this is the story of how I stood up to my controlling family and found my own path. I'm 22, about to graduate from Boston University with honors. On paper, I'm what you'd call the golden child of my family. It sounds great, right? But in reality, it's not all it's cracked up to be. Amelia, darling, straighten your posture. A Parker always stands tall. My grandmother Victoria's sharp voice echoes through the grand hall as I walk into the family mansion. Sometimes I swear she has eyes in the back of her head. Yes, grandmother, I reply, forcing a smile. Don't get me wrong, I love my family, but my grandmother, she's a force of nature. My dad, Robert, gives me a sympathetic look. Mother, Amelia's posture is fine. She's not attending a debutante ball, he says, trying to soften the situation. Robert, please. Grandmother snaps. I'm merely ensuring our family's reputation remains intact. I exchange a glance with my mom, Elizabeth. She gives me a small, reassuring nod, silently telling me to stand my ground. But with grandmother Victoria, that's easier said than done. Later that evening, I'm in my room texting my secret boyfriend, James. You won't believe what my grandmother said today, I type. Let me guess, something about the Parker family reputation. James replies, and I can't help but chuckle. Bingo. Sometimes I think she has that phrase trademarked, I text back. Well, my grandmother Margaret had some choice words about the Parkers today too. When will this feud end? He responds. I sigh, flopping back onto my bed. James and I have been dating for months, but we've had to keep it a secret. His grandmother, Margaret Thompson, is my grandmother's arch-rival. It's like Romeo and Juliet, but with more Gucci and less Shakespeare. Amelia, come down for dinner. My mom calls from downstairs. I quickly delete my conversation with James and head to the dining room, where the usual Parker family drama unfolds. Did you hear about Margaret Thompson's latest charity event? Grandmother Victoria scoffs, as if throwing money around makes up for her lack of class. I bite my tongue, resisting the urge to defend James's family. Instead, I focus on my plate, pushing around my organic kale salad. Now, Amelia, grandmother turns her attention to me. Have you given any thought to which law firm you'll be interning at this summer? I've spoken to Judge Harrison. He's more than willing to put in a good word for you at his son's firm. Actually, grandmother, I start gathering my courage. I've been thinking about taking a different path after graduation. Maybe exploring nonprofit work. The silence that follows is deafening, as if I just announced I was running away to join the circus. Nonprofit? Grandmother's voice is dangerously low. Amelia, dear, Parkers don't do nonprofit. We lead. We succeed. We dominate. I can feel my resolve wavering under her steely gaze. But then I think of James, of the life I want for myself, not the one that's been mapped out for me since birth. I understand, grandmother, I say, my voice steady. But I believe there are many ways to lead and succeed. I'd like the chance to find my own path. The tension in the room is palpable. My parents exchange worried glances, caught between supporting me and avoiding grandmother's wrath. As I go to bed that night, my mind is racing. I know I'm walking a fine line between the life that's expected of me and the one I truly want. But for the first time, I feel ready to stand up for myself, no matter the consequences. The next day, the Parker mansion is buzzing with activity, champagne flowing freely as Boston's elite mingle. I stand in the center, forcing a smile as yet another of grandmother's friends congratulates me on my graduation. Amelia, darling, come here for a moment. Grandmother Victoria calls, waving me over to a group of distinguished-looking men in suits. I excuse myself and walk over, my heels clicking on the marble floor. Yes, grandmother. Gentlemen, this is my granddaughter, Amelia. She's just graduated summa cum laude from Boston University, she boasts. Impressive, one of the men nods. Following in your grandmother's footsteps, I see. Victoria has always been a force to be reckoned with in the business world. I smile politely, but inside, I know I'm no longer walking in her shadow. I'm carving out my own path. Inside, I was screaming. This wasn't me, this wasn't what I wanted. As I looked at my grandmother's smug face, something inside me snapped. Actually, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. I have an announcement to make. Grandmother's eyes narrowed. Amelia, what are you? But I was already stepping away, moving toward the center of the room. I caught James's eye across the crowd, and he gave me a subtle, encouraging nod. Everyone, may I have your attention, please? I called out. Slowly, the chatter died down, and all eyes turned to me. My heart pounded, but I took a deep breath. Thank you all for coming to celebrate my graduation. But there's something else I'd like to celebrate tonight. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Grandmother Victoria pushing through the crowd, her face a mixture of confusion and growing fury. But I pressed on. I'm engaged, I announced, my voice ringing clear and strong, to James Thompson. The silence that followed was suffocating. Then, almost on cue, James stepped forward, taking my hand. It's true, he said, smiling warmly at me. We're in love. The crowd erupted in shocked whispers. I could hear fragments of conversations. Thompson, as in Margaret Thompson's grandson. But the feud. How long has this been going on? But all I could focus on was my grandmother. Her face was twisted in a rage unlike anything I'd ever seen. She pushed through the last few people standing in her way, and suddenly she was right in front of me. How dare you? She hissed, her voice low and dangerous. How dare you embarrass me like this? Grandmother, I didn't get to finish. Without warning, her hand lashed out, striking me across the face so hard I stumbled back. The world spun, and then everything went black. When I came to, I was lying on the floor, James cradling my head in his lap. The room was chaos. People shouting, some leaving, and my parents desperately trying to calm things down. Amelia, can you hear me? James' worried face swam into focus. What? What happened? I mumbled, trying to sit up. Your grandmother hit you, James said, his voice tight with concern. You've been out for a few minutes. We're taking you to the hospital. I nodded weakly, wincing at the pain in my head. As James and my father helped me to my feet, I saw my grandmother standing off to the side, her face cold and indifferent. Mother, how could you? My father said, his voice trembling with fury. She's your granddaughter. She made her choice, grandmother replied, her tone icy. She's no granddaughter of mine. Those words cut deeper than the slap. As they led me to the waiting ambulance, I couldn't help but wonder, was this the price of standing up for myself? And if it was I ready to pay it? I woke up in a sterile hospital room, the scent of disinfectant thick in the air and the soft peeping of machines nearby. My head was pounding, and for a moment, I couldn't remember why I was there. Then it all came flooding back, the party, the announcement, grandmother's fury. Amelia, you're awake. James's voice was filled with relief. He was sitting by my bedside, dark circles under his eyes. What happened? I croaked, my throat dry. You've been out for a day, my mom said, stepping into the room. The doctor said you have a mild concussion. I tried to sit up, wincing from the pain. Has grandmother been here? The silence that followed was answer enough. Actually, my dad said, his voice tight with anger, she's been busy trying to control the narrative. It's all over the local news. James handed me his phone, and I scrolled through the headlines. Boston socialite assaults granddaughter at graduation party. Parker family feud erupts in violence. Engagement announcement leads to hospital visit. Oh God, I whispered, feeling sick. That's not all, James said, his jaw clenched. Your grandmother tried to bribe me to leave you. She offered me an obscene amount of money to forget this foolishness and leave you alone. I felt like I'd been slapped all over again. She what? She also threatened to cut you off financially if you don't come to your senses, my mom added, her voice bitter. In that moment, something inside me hardened. For years, I'd made excuses for my grandmother's behavior, always believing there was love beneath her harsh exterior. But now, I saw her for what she truly was, a manipulative, controlling woman who cared more about her image than her family. I'm done, I said, my voice stronger than I felt. I'm done letting her control my life. Over the next few weeks, as I recovered, I put my plan into action. I moved out of the family home, ignoring grandmother's threats and guilt trips. I accepted a job offer in New York City with a nonprofit organization I'd been too afraid to consider before. It wasn't easy, but I was finally free. Maybe I should see someone, I admitted to James one night after waking up from yet another nightmare. I think that's a great idea, he said gently. I'll go with you if you want. True to his word, James was there for every therapy session, every panic attack, every moment of doubt. Despite grandmother's continued attempts to drive a wedge between us, including a thinly veiled threat to his family's business, James stood by me. Meanwhile, grandmother Victoria's carefully constructed world was unraveling. I heard through the grapevine that several of her business partners had distanced themselves, unwilling to be associated with someone who would assault their own granddaughter. Did you see the latest? James asked one evening, showing me his phone. It was a video of grandmother being confronted by reporters outside her office. Mrs. Parker, do you have any comment on the assault allegations? Is it true you tried to bribe your granddaughter's fiancé? How do you respond to claims that you're using your influence to suppress the story? Grandmother's face was a mask of barely controlled fury as she pushed past the reporters, refusing to answer any questions. Karma's a bitch, I muttered, feeling a mix of satisfaction and sadness. That chapter of my life was over. 2 years flew by in New York. James and I got married in a small ceremony, far from the Boston society pages. We were happy, building our lives on our own terms. Then came an invitation to a charity gala in Boston. I hesitated, but James squeezed my hand. We can handle it, he said. We're not the same people we were 2 years ago. Walking into the ballroom, I felt eyes on us, whispers following in our wake. Then I saw her, grandmother Victoria, standing alone by the bar. She looked smaller somehow, less intimidating. As our eyes met, she made her way over. Amelia, she said, her voice lacking its usual commanding tone. I'm glad you came. Grandmother, I replied coolly. She glanced around nervously. I was hoping we could talk. I want to apologize for what happened. I reacted poorly, and I'm sorry. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, an apology from Victoria Parker. But as I looked into her eyes, I saw no real remorse, just desperation. I appreciate the sentiment, I said, but I'm afraid it's too little, too late. Victoria's face fell. But we're family. Surely we can move past this. Some actions are unforgivable. Grandmother, I said firmly. You showed me who you really are that night, and I believe you. As we talked, I learned the extent of what had happened since that fateful night. Victoria's company had lost major contracts, faced multiple lawsuits from former employees alleging years of abuse, and her social circle had abandoned her. Many sided with Margaret Thompson in their long-standing rivalry. I've lost everything, she said, a hint of her old anger creeping into her voice. And for what? Because you couldn't follow the plan I had for you. There it was, the mask slipping, revealing the same old Victoria beneath. No, grandmother, I said, my voice steady. You lost everything because of your own actions, your cruelty, your need for control, your refusal to see others as anything but pawns in your game. Those were your choices. Now you're facing the consequences. I've moved on, I told her. I'm happy, successful, and surrounded by people who truly care about me. With that, I turned and walked away, leaving Victoria Parker standing alone, a relic of a world that no longer existed. The story's over. Do you think there's ever a point where family toxicity becomes unforgivable? At what moment in the story would you have cut ties with Victoria? Or would you have given her another chance? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experiences and perspectives could help others dealing with similar situations. Hey there, I'm Isadora. I'm 32, thriving in my marketing career while juggling life as a mom to my incredible 5-year-old Ethan. Life's great, except for one glaring problem, my monster-in-law, Linda. But we'll get to her in a minute. First, let me tell you about Ethan. He's the sweetest little guy, but he has a severe egg allergy. We're talking full-on anaphylaxis if he even comes near an egg. It's terrifying, but we've learned to manage. Honey, did you pack Ethan's EpiPen? I called out to my husband, Mark, as we got ready to head over to his parents' house for dinner. Yep, got it right here, he said, patting his pocket. I let out a relieved sigh. Good, you know how your mom is. And oh, do I know how Linda is. From the moment I married Mark, she's had something to say about everything. My cooking, my parenting, even the way I breathe. It's like living with a personal critic on full blast. When we pulled up to their house, there she was, standing on the porch with that fake smile plastered on her face. There's my baby boy, she cooed, completely ignoring me as she scooped Ethan up. Hi, Linda, I forced out with a smile. Thanks for having us over. She barely looked at me. Of course, dear, Karen's already inside. Great, Karen, my sister-in-law and Linda's perfect clone. Exactly what I needed. As we sat down for dinner, I noticed the bowl of egg salad sitting suspiciously close to Ethan's plate. Linda, could you move that, please? You know about Ethan's allergy, I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She rolled her eyes. Oh, Isadora, don't be so dramatic. A little egg never hurt anyone. My blood was boiling. It could literally kill him, Linda. This isn't a joke. She scoffed. Back in my day, we didn't have all these fancy allergies. I looked to Mark for backup, but as usual, he was suddenly fascinated by his mashed potatoes. Karen chimed in. Mom's right, Isadora. You're being overprotective. I was on the verge of snapping when my phone buzzed. A text from my best friend, Samantha. Hang in there, girl. Don't let the witches get you down. The rest of the dinner was tense. Linda kept throwing passive-aggressive jabs at my parenting, while Karen nodded along like her little sidekick. As we were leaving, Linda cornered me. You know, dear, if he spent less time working and more time with Ethan, maybe he wouldn't have all these issues. I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. Thanks for dinner, Linda. We'll see ourselves out. In the car, I finally let it out. Can you believe her? She could have killed Ethan. Mark sighed. You know how Mom is. She didn't mean any harm. And there it was, Mark, once again, refusing to stand up to his mother. As we drove home, I couldn't shake the feeling that things were only going to get worse. And boy, was I right. A few weeks later, Linda called me out of the blue, all sweet and innocent. Isadora, dear, I heard about your big conference. Why don't you let me watch Ethan for the weekend? I hesitated. I don't know, Linda. Ethan's allergy. Oh, nonsense. I raised 2 children. I can handle 1 grandchild for the weekend. Against my better judgment, I agreed. The morning we left, I went over everything with Linda. Again, remember, no eggs. Not even a trace. Here's his EpiPen, and… Yes, she waved me off. Go on, you'll be late. The conference was going amazingly well. I was on fire, networking, nailing presentations, even catching the eye of the VP. Great work, Isadora, he said. Keep this up and a promotion's in your future. I was on cloud 9 until my phone rang. It was Linda, her voice frantic. Isadora, it's Ethan. We're at the hospital. He had some kind of reaction. My heart stopped. What happened? What did you give him? Just come quickly, she said, her voice shaky. Mark and I rushed to the hospital. My heart was pounding, fear choking me. We burst into the ER to find Ethan hooked up to machines, his little face swollen and pale. My baby, I cried, rushing to his side. The doctor came over. He had a severe anaphylactic reaction. If he hadn't been brought here when he was, it could have been much worse. I turned to Linda, shaking with rage. What did you give him? She looked sheepish. Just a little custard. I didn't think custard had eggs, Linda mumbled, her voice defensive. You could have killed him. I've told you 1,000 times. I was shaking with anger. Linda, still mumbling, said, I didn't know it was that serious. I saw red. I told you. I've always told you. Mark put his hand on my shoulder, his voice soft. Isadora, calm down. Mom didn't mean. I shrugged him off, eyes blazing. Don't you dare defend her, Mark. Look at our son. As Ethan recovered, my anger only grew. How could she be so careless, so selfish? Back at home, I couldn't hold it in any longer. You need to apologize, Linda. You have to understand how serious this is. She scoffed. Apologize? I was trying to treat my grandson. You're the one who's made him so sensitive with all your coddling. I couldn't believe it. Get out. Get out of my house. As she stormed out, Karen called, her voice sharp. How could you kick Mom out? She feels terrible. Terrible? I fumed. She nearly killed Ethan and won't even apologize. You're overreacting, Isadora. You're tearing this family apart. I hung up, shaking with fury. Later that night, I tried talking to Mark again. Your mother crossed a line, Mark. She needs to take responsibility. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Can't we just move past this? You know how Mom is. I stared at him, disbelief flooding me. Move past it? She endangered our son's life. She made a mistake. We all make mistakes. I couldn't hold back anymore. A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk, Mark. This is unforgivable. Lying in bed that night, watching Ethan sleep peacefully, I knew something had to change. I couldn't trust Linda, and I couldn't rely on Mark to stand up to her. For the first time in our marriage, I felt truly alone. But one thing was crystal clear. I would do whatever it took to protect my son, even if it meant going to war with my own family. The next day, I had a gut feeling that the custard incident wasn't a one-time thing. Call it mother's intuition, but something felt off. So I started digging. The first place I looked was Linda's social media. And boy, did I find a goldmine. Can you believe this? I showed Samantha a post Linda had made shortly after Ethan's hospital visit. Back in my day, we didn't have all these made-up allergies. Kids today are too soft. Samantha's jaw dropped. That witch. What else did you find? I scrolled through more posts, shaking my head. Look at this. She's been sharing articles about how allergies aren't real, saying it's all in people's heads. Samantha's eyes widened. Isadora, this is serious. She's not just ignorant, she's actively dangerous. That was just the tip of the iceberg. I started piecing things together, remembering all the times Ethan had mild reactions after visiting Linda, even though I checked everything he ate. It suddenly made sense. I confronted Mark about it. Has your mother been feeding Ethan things with eggs when we're not around? He shifted uncomfortably. I don't think so. Maybe, Mark, this is our son's life we're talking about. I couldn't let it slide any longer. I drove straight to Linda's house, my blood boiling. Linda, we need to talk. Have you been giving Ethan food with eggs? She had the audacity to look offended. What kind of question is that? I would never intentionally harm my grandson. Intentionally? So you have been giving him egg products? Well, maybe a little here and there to help build up his tolerance. Toughen him up. I saw red. Build up his tolerance? You could have killed him. Oh, don't be so hysterical, Isadora. In my day. This isn't your day, Linda. This is now. And Ethan has a life-threatening condition. She waved me off, clearly dismissive. You're overreacting. Then she turned to Mark. Mark, tell her she's overreacting. For once, Mark stood firm. No, Mom. Isadora's right. What you did was dangerous and wrong. Linda's face hardened, her voice icy. I see. So you're choosing her over your own mother? I'm choosing my son, Mom. And if you can't respect that, maybe we need some space. As we left, I felt a mix of pride and sadness. Mark had finally stood up to his mother, but at what cost? Later that night, I met with Samantha to strategize. We need to expose her, I said. People need to know how dangerous she is. Samantha nodded. What if we caught her admitting it on record? And that's how Operation Gotcha was born. The next time Linda came over, I had my phone recording in my pocket. Linda, I began. I need you to understand how serious Ethan's allergy is. Oh, Isadora, not this again, she sighed. Look, I don't believe in all this allergy nonsense. A little egg never hurt anyone. But Ethan ended up in the hospital because you've made him weak, Linda continued, her voice cold and firm. If you just let me give him small amounts, he'd have built up a tolerance by now. Bingo. I had her on record, admitting everything. As I played the recording back later, a wave of vindication and disgust washed over me. How could someone be so reckless, so dismissive, about their own grandson's life? The annual family barbecue was just around the corner, and everyone would be there. It would be the perfect moment to expose Linda for who she truly was. As the day approached, I was a storm of emotions. Nervousness, anger, and even a twinge of guilt. But then I'd look at Ethan, remembering his fragile little body in that hospital bed, and my resolve would harden. Linda had no idea what was coming. The barbecue was in full swing when I finally made my move. Clearing my throat, I called out, "Everyone, I have something you need to hear." With trembling hands, I pressed play. Linda's voice, dripping with contempt, echoed across the yard as she admitted to disbelieving Ethan's allergy and feeding him eggs to toughen him up. Gasps spread through the crowd. Aunt Martha dropped her drink, and Uncle Joe's burger slipped from his hand, hitting the ground. "That's out of context," Linda screeched, her face turning bright red. Karen, always quick to defend her mother, jumped in. "Mom would never hurt Ethan. Isadora must have doctored this." "Doctored it?" I shot back, voice shaking with anger. "Your mother nearly killed my son, twice." Mark stepped forward, his face grim. "It's true, Mom. How could you?" Linda's eyes darted around, searching for support but finding none. I was just trying to help. These modern allergies. Enough. I cut her off. There's no excuse for risking a child's life. Linda's face crumpled as the gravity of her actions finally hit her. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I never meant." "Save it," I spat. "Your sorry doesn't fix anything." Mark nodded in agreement, his voice steady. "Mom, we can't have you in our lives anymore. We're done." The crowd gasped again. But what shocked everyone even more was when Linda's best friend, Marge, stepped forward. "I can't stay quiet anymore," she said, her voice trembling. This isn't the first time Linda's done something like this. Marge then proceeded to expose years of Linda's manipulative behavior. Lies, backstabbing, the works. The barbecue erupted into chaos as Linda fled in tears, with Karen chasing after her. In the weeks that followed, Linda's reputation took a nosedive. She became a pariah, shunned from her book clubs, bridge games, and even church. Her social circle crumbled, and for once, she had no one left to manipulate. That night, as I tucked Ethan into bed, he looked up at me with those innocent eyes and asked, "Mommy, why doesn't Grandma Linda visit anymore?" I chose my words carefully. Sometimes, sweetie, people make choices that aren't safe for us. And when that happens, we have to protect ourselves, even if it means keeping some distance. He nodded, understanding in that wise way only children can. I kissed his forehead and closed his door, feeling a sense of peace for the first time in ages. We'd been through hell, but we came out stronger. Linda was out of our lives, and we were safe. For the first time in a long time, the future looked bright, and I knew I could protect my family from anything. And that wraps up Isadora's intense family drama. Now here's a question for you. If you were in Isadora's shoes, would you have completely cut Linda out of your life? Or would you have given her another chance to make amends? When does protecting your child trump all family ties? Or should family always get a shot at redemption? This isn't an easy one, folks. There's a fine line between forgiveness and putting your child at risk. Where do you draw that line? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear where you stand on this family feud. If this story of allergy drama and mother-in-law mayhem kept you hooked, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Hey everyone, I'm Sarah, a 25-year-old graphic designer hustling to make it in the concrete jungle of Chicago. My apartment may be tiny, but it's mine, and I've been grinding hard to save up for something big, a top-tier laptop that'll level up my freelance game. Now let me tell you about my family. It's complicated, especially with my older sister, Emma. She's been a thorn in my side since we were kids, constantly trying to one-up me, green with envy over every little thing I did. I remember winning a school art contest once, and instead of congratulating me, Emma just rolled her eyes. "Big deal. Anyone can scribble on paper," she said. "That's what I dealt with growing up." "Hey, Sarah, why don't you show Emma your drawing?" My mom would say, oblivious to the tension. Emma would sneer, "Yeah, let's see what the little artist can do." And don't even get me started on our parents, Tom and Linda. They practically had a sign on the door saying, "Emma's #1 fan club." It was always Emma this, Emma that, while I was over here working my butt off, feeling invisible. Dad, guess what? I'd try to share something at dinner, but he cut me off. "Emma, sweetie, how was school?" Emma would flash a smug smile. "Oh, just aced another test. No big deal." But I didn't let it get to me. I kept my head down and worked hard. In the end, it paid off. I landed a scholarship to art school while Emma was still figuring things out. When I told her the news, she couldn't believe it. "They must be desperate for students," she sneered. I tried not to let it get to me. Fast forward to today, and I finally saved enough to treat myself to a dream. A shiny new MacBook Pro, $3,000 worth of pure graphic design power. The day I hit that order button, I was on cloud 9. "You sure about this, Sarah?" my best friend Mike asked. "That's a lot of cash." "I've never been more sure of anything," I told him. "This is my moment." My birthday finally arrived and my family came over for a small celebration. Mom and Dad brought a cake and even Emma showed up. "Happy birthday, sis," she said, handing me an envelope. Inside was a $100 gift card. Emma stood there grinning like she'd just given me a fortune. "Wow, thanks, Emma. That's really generous," I said, trying to be nice. "Well, I spare no expense for my little sister," she replied with fake sweetness. Then there was a knock at the door, and my heart skipped a beat. I knew what it was. I rushed to the door and came back with a large box. My new laptop. I couldn't hide my excitement as I tore into the box like a kid on Christmas morning. There it was, sleek, shiny, and perfect. "Isn't it beautiful?" I held it up, beaming. That's when I noticed Emma's face darkening. "How much did that cost?" she asked, her voice tight. About $3,000, I admitted. Her eyes widened in disbelief. $3,000. Who spends that on a laptop? "It's for my work, Emma. I've been saving up." I started to explain, but she cut me off. "Oh right, your work," she sneered, making air quotes. "Because little Miss Perfect needs the fanciest toys to doodle on." "It's not doodling, Emma. It's graphic design. It's my career." The tension in the room was unbearable. Mom and Dad looked uncomfortable as Emma kept firing off snide comments, each more biting than the last. I noticed she was hitting the wine pretty hard, refilling her glass again and again. "Must be nice to waste money like that," she slurred at one point. "Some of us have to work for a living. "I do work, Emma, really hard." "Please, sitting around playing on your fancy computer isn't work." I was about ready to snap. But Mom intervened. "Girls, please," she said. "It's Sarah's birthday. Let's try to get along." As the party began to wind down, I walked Mom and Dad to the door. "Thanks for coming," I said, forcing a smile. "And thanks for the cake." "Of course, sweetie. Happy birthday," Mom replied, giving me a warm hug. I closed the door behind them and took a deep breath. All I had to do was say goodbye to Emma, and this nightmare of a birthday would finally be over. But when I turned back to the living room, Emma wasn't there. I heard a noise coming from my home office. "Emma," I called, walking toward the sound. When I reached the doorway, I froze. Emma was in my office, stumbling drunk, with my toolbox open at her feet and a hammer in her hand. On the desk was my brand new laptop, or what was left of it. "Emma, what are you doing?" I screamed, rushing into the room. She turned toward me, her eyes wild and unfocused. "We're even," she slurred, and before I could stop her, she raised the hammer one last time and brought it crashing down on my laptop with a sickening crunch. I stood there, paralyzed, staring at the wreckage of my hard-earned dream. Years of saving and work destroyed in a moment of drunken jealousy. The reality of what just happened hit me like a tidal wave, a whirlwind of rage, heartbreak, and an iron determination that this would be the last time Emma ever hurt me. My hands shook as I dialed 911, but by the time I got through to an operator, Emma had already stumbled out of my apartment. I tried explaining what happened to the cops, but without her there, it felt pointless. "We'll file a report, ma'am," the officer said over the phone, but without the suspect present. I knew what that meant, a slim chance of any real justice. I wasn't about to let it end there. I called my parents, hoping they'd back me up. Mom, Dad, you need to tell the police what Emma did. You saw how she was acting. There was a long pause. Finally, Dad spoke. Honey, Emma called us earlier. She said she left your party around 8 p.m. We can't lie to the police. My blood ran cold. No, that's not true. She was here. She smashed my laptop. You know how she gets when she drinks. Mom chimed in softly. Now, Sarah, I think you might be exaggerating. Emma would never do something like that. Maybe you had a little too much to drink yourself. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My own parents were siding with Emma, again, choosing her lies over my truth. Fine, I said, my voice ice cold. Believe what you want. I hung up, sinking to the floor, surrounded by the pieces of my shattered dreams. But as I sat there, something inside me hardened. I was done being Emma's punching bag, done with my family's blindness. It was time to expose Emma for who she really was. I called up my best friend, Mike. If anyone could help, it was him. Mike, I need your help. It's about Emma. What did she do this time? Mike asked, his voice laced with concern. I filled him in on everything. Mike let out a low whistle. Damn, Sarah. That's messed up. What do you want to do about it? I want to catch her, expose her, make sure everyone sees her for the lying, manipulative person she really is. All right, I'm in. What's the plan? We spent hours brainstorming. Mike's tech skills were going to be key. First things first, he said, we need to set up some surveillance in your place. Hidden cameras, mix, the works. Next time Emma comes over, we'll catch everything. Good idea. What else? We'll create a fake social media account to keep tabs on her. I can also do some digging into her digital footprint, maybe even her financials. People like Emma usually have skeletons in their closets. Meanwhile, I have my own role to play. I'll act like I've forgiven her, I said. I'll get close again. Mike paused. You sure you can pull that off? I sighed. I've been playing nice my whole life, Mike. I can do it a little longer. Over the next few weeks, we put our plan into action. Mike helped me install tiny cameras and microphones around my apartment, hidden in picture frames and potted plants. We created a fake Instagram account, Chicago Party Girl, and sent Emma a friend request. She accepted without hesitation. I reached out to Emma, pretending to be the forgiving sister. Hey, Em, I've been thinking. I'm sorry about how things went down on my birthday. Can we talk? Her response came quickly. Sure, sis. I'm glad you've come to your senses. How about dinner next week? I had to stop myself from throwing my phone across the room. Instead, I typed back, sounds great, can't wait. And the game was on. Mike was working his magic on the digital front. Late one evening, he called me, excitement in his voice. Sarah, you're not going to believe this, he said. I think I found something big. Really big. My heart raced. What is it? I can't say for sure yet, but it looks like Emma might be embezzling from our company. I need to dig deeper, but the numbers don't add up. Shock and a sense of vindication washed over me. This was it, our way to finally bring Emma down. As I prepared for our upcoming dinner, a mix of sadness crept in. How had it come to this? My own sister, my own family, but I pushed those feelings aside. Emma had made her choices, and now it was time for her to face the consequences. Little did she know, her world of lies was about to crumble, and I would be there to watch it burn. When Emma arrived for dinner, I played the part of the forgiving sister. Hidden cameras were rolling, capturing every word. Thanks for coming, Em, I said, offering a smile. I really want us to move past all this. Of course, sis, water under the bridge, right? She said, casually brushing it off. We made small talk, but I skillfully steered the conversation toward my career. You know, I've been getting some great freelance gigs lately, I said, watching her expression tighten. Clients love my work. Emma's jaw clenched. Oh, aren't you special? She sneered. Always the golden child. I pushed harder. Remember my birthday. That laptop was supposed to take my career to the next level. Her eyes flared with anger. You and your stupid laptop, she snapped. You think you're so much better than me, don't you? Well, I showed you. I smashed that thing to pieces, and I'd do it again. Bingo. I had her confession on camera. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was Mike. It's done. We had anonymously tipped off Emma's workplace and the authorities about her embezzlement. Within days, Emma's world imploded. She lost her job, faced criminal charges, and most significantly, our parents finally saw her for who she truly was. The video of her confession went viral, obliterating what remained of her reputation. A week later, I watched from my window as Emma moved out of her upscale apartment, jobless and alone. The satisfaction was bittersweet. Her toxicity had finally caught up with her. I turned back to my new laptop, ready to move on with my life and career. For the first time in years, I felt free from Emma's shadow. It was time to focus on my path, leaving behind the resentment and pain. As I started a new design project, I couldn't help but smile. This was my fresh start, my chance to shine without Emma's constant attempts to dim my light. The future was bright, and it was all mine. The story's over, but now I've got a question for you. If you were in my shoes, would you have exposed Emma's crimes or tried to help her change? Was justice served, or did I go too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear what you would have done in this situation. If you enjoyed this wild ride, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories like this. Your support means the world to me and helps the channel grow. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Hey everyone, I'm Florence, a 28-year-old nurse with a story that's wilder than you can imagine. So there I was, pulling double shifts at the hospital, trying to make ends meet while also looking after my grandparents. They're the kindest souls, always there for me. "Florence, honey, you work too hard," Grandma would say, patting my hand. I'd just smile. "Someone's got to do it, Grandma." Meanwhile, my sister Megan, the total opposite, hasn't held a job in years and has been living off our parents. "Why can't you be more like Florence?" Dad would grumble at her. Mom always tried to defend her. "Now, dear, I'm sure Megan's trying her best." Yeah, right, trying her best at spending their money. One day at the hospital, I got some incredible news. "Congrats, Florence, you've been promoted to head nurse." My boss was beaming. I couldn't believe it. I called my boyfriend Jake right away. "That's amazing, Flo. We should celebrate," he said. But life loves throwing curveballs. Just a week later, Grandpa's health took a sudden turn for the worse. I spent every free moment at their place, caring for both of them. "You're an angel, Florence," Grandpa whispered, squeezing my hand. It was hard, but there was no question. I was exactly where I needed to be. As for Megan, she was nowhere to be found. "Have you heard from your sister?" I asked Mom one day. She sighed. She said she's busy. Job hunting. Yeah, I knew exactly how that went. Then the day came that I dreaded. Grandma called me, her voice shaky. "Florence, it's Grandpa. He's gone." The world stopped. I rushed over, holding Grandma as she cried. The following days were a blur: funeral arrangements, endless tears. Just as we were starting to come to terms with losing Grandpa, Grandma passed away too, like she couldn't bear to live without him. The funeral was a somber affair. I stood there feeling empty as people came to offer their condolences. Megan showed up late, reeking of alcohol. "Nice of you to grace us with your presence," I muttered. She shot me a glare. "Not all of us can be Little Miss Perfect, Florence." I bit my tongue. Before I could say anything, the lawyer called us in for the reading of the will. I wasn't expecting much, maybe some family photos or Grandma's recipe book. But then the lawyer dropped a bombshell. "To our beloved granddaughter Florence, we leave our house." My jaw dropped. The house I'd grown up visiting, full of memories. I looked over at Megan, expecting shock, but her face was twisted with anger. She stormed out before the reading even finished. "Megan, wait." I called after her. I found her outside, furiously typing on her phone. "Megan, I know this is a surprise. We can figure something out." She cut me off. "Save it, Florence. You were always the favorite." As she stomped away, I saw her whispering into her phone. "Tyler? Yeah, it's me. We need to talk. Now." I had a sinking feeling that this inheritance was going to cause more trouble than I could imagine. That night, as I sat in my apartment surrounded by old photos of Grandma and Grandpa, I couldn't shake the feeling that a storm was brewing, and I had no idea just how bad things were about to get. Jake called, pulling me from my thoughts. "How you holding up, Flo?" I sighed. "I don't have Jay. Something just doesn't feel right." "What do you mean?" "It's Megan. The way she reacted to the will. I have a bad feeling about this." Little did I know, my instincts were dead on. The next few months would turn my world upside down. In the weeks after the funeral, I tried to include Megan in the house plans, hoping it would bring us closer. "Hey Meg, want to help me go through Grandma's things this weekend?" I asked. "Can't. Busy," she replied, not even looking up from her phone. I sighed. "Come on, it could be fun. We might find some old childhood memories." She finally looked up, her eyes cold. "Fun? Going through dead people's junk? No thanks." Her words stung, but I tried to brush it off. As I spent more time at the house, strange things started happening. Grandpa's watch disappeared from the dresser. Grandma's jewelry box was mysteriously empty. Then, one day, I walked in to find a stranger in the living room. "Can I help you?" I asked, startled. The man looked equally surprised. "Oh, Megan said I could look around. I'm interested in buying." My blood ran cold. "Buying? This house isn't for sale." After you left, I confronted Megan. "What the hell, Meg? You're trying to sell the house behind my back. It's not fair," she exploded. "You get everything, your promotion, your boyfriend, and now the house. What about me?" "This isn't about you," I shouted back. "It's about honoring Grandma and Grandpa's wishes." She stormed out, slamming the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. A few days later, I overheard a conversation in the backyard. I crept closer, recognizing Megan's voice, along with Tyler's. "We need to move fast," Tyler was saying, "before she figures out what's happening." Megan sounded desperate. I know, but how?" "She's always here. Leave that to me. I've got connections. We'll get this place sold and split the cash before she knows what hit her." I felt sick. How could Megan do this? Determined to get to the bottom of things, I started digging. What I found shocked me: unpaid bills, loan shark threats, casino debts. Megan was in deep, and I had no idea just how far she was willing to go to get herself out. But nothing could have prepared me for what I found next. Buried in a stack of papers on Grandpa's desk was a document that transferred ownership of the house, with my forged signature. My hands trembled as I held the paper. This wasn't just Megan being resentful. This was criminal. As the weight of Megan's betrayal sank in, a flood of emotions hit me. Anger, heartbreak, disbelief. How had it come to this? My own sister, willing to steal and lie to get what she wanted. I sat in Grandma's old rocking chair, the forged document in my lap, and tried to figure out my next move. One thing was clear. This was war, and I wasn't about to let Megan win. This wasn't just about the house anymore. It was about stopping Megan before she dug herself into a hole too deep to escape. My first stop was Jake's place. I laid everything out in front of him, the forged document, the strange behavior, everything I'd uncovered. "Geez, Flo, this is serious," Jake said, wide-eyed. "What are you going to do?" "I need proof. Solid, undeniable proof." That's when I remembered Sarah, a family friend and lawyer. She'd know what to do. "Florence, this is a delicate situation," Sarah warned. "We need to be smart about how we approach this." With her advice, I set up hidden cameras around the house. It felt invasive, but I had no other options. Days passed, and the cameras captured plenty: Megan and Tyler snooping through drawers, making calls to potential buyers. But the real bombshell came when I overheard a conversation that made my blood run cold. "The sharks are getting impatient, Meg," Tyler hissed. "We need to sell this place fast, or we're both dead." Megan sounded panicked. I know, but Florence is always around. We need to get her out of the picture." I felt sick. This was worse than I had imagined. Desperate to protect what was left of our family, I started digging into Tyler's background. What I found was a rap sheet that seemed never-ending: fraud, theft, connections to local loan sharks. Megan had gotten involved with a real criminal, and I had to find a way to stop them. That's when an idea hit me. "Jake, how's your acting?" I asked. We set up a fake meeting with Jake posing as a potential buyer. I watched through the cameras as Megan and Tyler took the bait, hook, line, and sinker. "Yeah, we can close the deal fast," Tyler assured Jake. "The current owner won't be a problem." Megan chimed in. "We've got ways of persuading her." I had everything I needed. It was time to face the music. Showing the evidence to my parents was one of the hardest things I'd ever done. Mom burst into tears, and Dad went silent. "This can't be true," Mom sobbed. "Not our Megan." Dad shook his head, disbelief etched into his face. There must be some mistake. I'm sorry, I said, my heart breaking for them. But it's all true. And if we don't stop her now, she could end up in real danger. Leaving my parents' house, the weight of what I had to do next pressed heavily on my shoulders. It was time to expose Megan's scheme. No more secrets, no more lies. I picked up my phone, my hand shaking slightly as I dialed Sarah. It's Florence. I'm ready to go public with everything. This was it. No turning back now. Whatever happened next, nothing would ever be the same. I called a family meeting at my parents' house, my heart pounding as everyone gathered. Megan waltzed in late, looking annoyed. What's this about, Florence? Some of us have lives, you know. I took a deep breath. It's about the house, Megan, and your plans to sell it. Her face paled, but she quickly masked it with an irritated scowl. What are you talking about? You're the one who inherited it. I laid out the evidence one by one. The forged documents, the hidden camera footage, the recordings of her and Tyler's conversations. Megan's eyes darted around the room, searching for an escape. This is ridiculous. You're making all this up because you're jealous. Mom gasped. Megan, how could you? It's not true, Megan shouted. Florence is lying. That's when Tyler barged in, his face twisted with rage. Meg, we gotta go. Now. Seeing everyone gathered, Tyler's anger shifted. He grabbed Megan's arm roughly. You little snitch, he snarled at me. You have no idea who you're messing with. Dad shot up, his face red with fury. Get your hands off my daughter. As if on cue, the police entered. Sarah had tipped them off about Tyler's outstanding warrants. Tyler Johnson, you're under arrest for fraud and extortion, the officer announced, placing him in handcuffs. As they led Tyler away, Megan collapsed, sobbing. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for it to go this far. The gambling. I couldn't stop. The truth came pouring out, the massive debts, the threats from loan sharks, the desperate plan to sell the house. Mom was inconsolable, and Dad looked shell-shocked. Why didn't you come to us for help? Dad asked. Megan just shook her head, unable to speak. The next few days were a blur. Word got out about Megan's debts, and she fled town to escape the loan sharks. Meanwhile, I made a decision. I'm selling the house, I announced to my parents. But honey, it's your inheritance, Mom protested. I shook my head. It's tainted now. Besides, the money can help you guys recover from everything. Dad's eyes welled up with tears. Florence, we're so sorry. We should have seen what was happening. It's okay, Dad, we all missed it. As the dust settled, things began to look up. The house sold quickly, and I used part of the money to help my parents get back on their feet. The rest went toward furthering my career. I enrolled in a specialized nursing program I'd always dreamed of. 1 year later, life looked very different. I was thriving at work, recently engaged to Jake, and my relationship with my parents had never been stronger. We're so proud of you, Florence, Mom said over dinner one night. You've been our rock through all of this. Dad nodded. We can't thank you enough for everything you've done. As for Megan, last I heard, she was working a minimum wage job in another state, still trying to pay off her debts. Part of me felt sorry for her, but a bigger part knew she was finally facing the consequences of her actions. Now I have a question for you. If you were in my shoes, would you have cut all ties with Megan, or would you have tried to help her recover from her addiction and past mistakes? Is there a point where family loyalty should end? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective could help others facing similar family dilemmas. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more real-life drama and family conflict stories. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Hey, I'm Amelia, your typical 18-year-old senior with big dreams and a passion for marine biology. College is just around the corner, and I can't wait to dive into that new chapter of my life. But things at home, well, they're a bit complicated. It's just me, my dad Robert, and my stepmom Victoria. Dad's been solid since Mom passed, but Victoria, she's a whole different story. Amelia, have you finished those college applications yet? Victoria calls from the kitchen, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. Almost done. I shout back, rolling my eyes at my best friend Zoe, who's sprawled out on my bed. Girl, I don't know how you deal with her, Zoe whispers, twirling a strand of hair. I shrug. She's trying, I guess. But wow, Does she try? Victoria's always hovering, flashing that perfect plastic smile. It's like she's auditioning for Stepmom of the Year or something. But something about it just feels off. Later, at the aquarium where I work part-time, I'm lost in thought, absent-mindedly feeding the clownfish. Earth to Amelia. Dr. Chen, my mentor, weighs a hand in front of my face. I laugh. Sorry. Was I daydreaming about college again? She chuckles. It's pretty obvious to anyone with eyes. Any news yet? Not yet. I sigh. But hopefully soon. As I'm heading out, I bump into Tyler, Zoe's boyfriend. He's got that mischievous grin on his face that usually spells trouble. Yo, Amelia, ready for our study session later? He asks. As long as you actually study this time, I fire back. He clutches his chest dramatically. You wound me. Back home, every ping from my laptop has me on edge. Is it an acceptance? A rejection? Something? Anything? Anything yet? Victoria asks, leaning over my shoulder. I shake my head, trying to stay calm. Not yet. I'm sure you'll get in somewhere, she says, patting my shoulder, but there's something in her voice that makes my skin crawl. Each morning, I wake up with this anxious knot in my stomach, my fingers flying over the keyboard as I check my inbox for the 100th time. Nothing. Nada. Zip. Any news, sweetie? Victoria's voice startles me and I jump. She's hovering again, eyes glued to my screen. Not yet, I mutter, slamming my laptop shut. I'm sure they'll come soon, she says, but days turn into weeks and still, nothing. Something feels wrong. I swear I saw a letter from UCLI in the mail, but when I went to get it, gone. Just like that. Dad, have you seen any mail for me? I ask over dinner. He shakes his head, mouth full of pasta. Victoria chimes in. I'm sure if anything came, we'd know about it. Right, Robert? I narrow my eyes, suspicious. There's something in her tone that makes my stomach churn. Later, pacing my room on the phone with Zoe, I finally let the thoughts I've been avoiding rise to the surface. So, I think something weird is going on. My laptop's glitching, mail's disappearing. I feel like I'm losing it. Whoa. Slow down, Ames, Zoe says. You think someone's messing with your stuff? I pause. The thought I've been avoiding crashes down on me. I think it's Victoria. There's silence on the other end for a moment. That's a serious accusation, you sure? Before I can respond, my laptop pings. New email. My heart races as I click it open. No. I feel like I've been punched in the gut. Another rejection. Amelia, what's wrong? Dad's voice comes from the doorway. I turn, tears streaming down my face. I didn't get in anywhere. The look on his face. God, I wish I could unsee it. Disappointment, confusion, pity. Victoria appears, all fake concern and soft words. Oh, sweetheart, I'm so sorry. But you know, college isn't everything. Victoria drones on. I tune her out, collapsing onto my bed. How could this happen? I was a straight-A student, captain of the debate team, a volunteer. None of it makes sense. The next few weeks blur by. I stop going out, ignoring Zoe's calls. What's the point? My dreams are shattered. Amelia? Dr. Chen's voice snaps me out of my fog as I scrub tanks at the aquarium, mindlessly going through the motions. I've been trying to reach you. Didn't you get my email? I wanted to congratulate you on your acceptance. I freeze. What acceptance? Dr. Chen looks puzzled. To the marine biology program at Scripps. I got the notification since I was your reference. My mind spins. An acceptance? One I never received. The pieces start clicking together. Dr. Chen, when exactly did you send that email? As she answers, a cold determination washes over me. Something is seriously wrong, and I'm going to find out what. I race home, adrenaline pumping. I need proof. I need to know what's really going on. Oh, Amelia. Victoria's syrupy voice stops me at the door. I was just about to call you. We need to discuss your future plans now that college. Well, you know. I force a smile, heart hammering in my chest. Sure, Victoria. We'll talk later. Later, huddled in Zoe's basement with her and Tyler, my mind races. Okay, guys, here's the deal. I think Victoria's been sabotaging my college applications. Zoe's eyes widen. Seriously? That's so messed up, Ames. Tyler cracks his knuckles, grinning. Let me hit your laptop. If there's something to find, I'll find it. For hours, Tyler works his tech magic while Zoe and I brainstorm. Finally, he lets out a low whistle. Amelia, you might want to see this. I peer at the screen and my blood runs cold. Dozens of recovered emails, acceptances, scholarships, all deleted. But that's not all. We uncover a whole web of deceit. Intercepted mail, fake rejection letters, even a hidden email account set up in my name. We dig deeper, and the truth is uglier than I could have imagined. Victoria has been siphonning money from my college fund. She's jealous of my relationship with Dad. She wants to keep me here, dependent. Amelia, Zoe says gently, you have to tell your dad. Back home, I'm a bundle of nerves. Every look from Victoria, every sickly sweet comment makes my skin crawl. How did I not see it before? I'm in my room, sorting through the evidence we gathered when Victoria barges in. What are you doing? She demands, her eyes narrowing as they lock onto my laptop. I slam it shut. Nothing, just looking at community college options. She smiles, but it doesn't reach her eyes. Oh, sweetie, I'm so glad you're being realistic about your future. Something in me snaps. Cut the act, Victoria. I know what you did. Her face hardens, the pretense slipping away. I don't know what you're talking about. The emails, the letters, ring any bells? My voice shakes, but I stand my ground. For a moment, she's silent, and then she laughs. A cold, sharp sound. Prove it. That night, I can't sleep. Victoria's words echo in my head. Prove it. She's right. I need ironclad evidence, something Dad can't ignore. I think about everything we've uncovered, the deleted emails, the fake rejections, the financial records. It's a lot, but is it enough? My phone buzzes with a text from Tyler. Found something big. Call me. As I dial, a plan begins forming in my mind. Victoria thinks she's won, but she has no idea what's coming. I may have lost this battle, but the war? It's just beginning. And I'm not going down without a fight. Tomorrow, I'll start gathering every piece of evidence I can. Every deleted email, every fake letter, every manipulated conversation. I'll build a case so strong, so undeniable, that even Dad can't ignore it. Victoria wanted to crush my dreams. While she's about to learn a hard lesson, don't mess with someone who has nothing left to lose. The day has finally come. My hands tremble as I clutch the folder filled with evidence. Zoe, Tyler, and Dr. Chen have been a godsend, helping me piece together this nightmare. I take a deep breath and walk into the living room where Dad is waiting. Thankfully, Victoria's out. This conversation needs to be just between us. Dad, we need to talk, I say, my voice steady, though my heart is racing. He looks up, concern etched into his features. What's wrong, sweetheart? I sit down, feeling the weight of everything about to unfold. It's about college, and Victoria. His brow furrows. What about them? I open the folder, spreading out the emails, screenshots, and recovered documents. Dad, I did get into college. Several, actually. But Victoria, she hid it all from us. Dad's face goes pale. What are you talking about? I walk him through everything, the deleted emails, the intercepted mail, the fake rejection letters. With each revelation, I see his world crumbling. No, she wouldn't. Amelia, are you sure? I pull out the final piece of evidence, a recording of Victoria bragging to her friend about keeping me from going to college. Dad's face crumples as he listens. Oh God, Amelia, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. The front door slams and Victoria's voice rings out. Robert, Amelia, I'm home. Dad stands up, his face set like stone. In here, Victoria. She walks in, all smiles, but freezes when she sees the evidence spread out in front of her. What? What is all this? She asks. The truth, Dad says, his voice cold. Care to explain why you've been sabotaging our daughter's future? Victoria's face flickers through shock, then anger, before settling into a sickly sweet smile. Oh, Robert, surely you don't believe these lies. Amelia's just upset about not getting into college. Save it, I snap. We have proof. It's over, Victoria. Her mask drops, revealing the ugly truth beneath. You ungrateful little brat. After everything I've done for this family? Done for us? Dad roars. You've been lying, manipulating, destroying Amelia's dreams. Get out. Now. Victoria's eyes narrow. You can't just. I said get out. Dad's voice shakes the room. He's never yelled like this before. I want you gone by morning. We're done. As Victoria storms out, Dad turns to me, tears welling in his eyes. Amelia, I'm so sorry. I should have seen it. It's okay, Dad, I say, hugging him tight. We're going to be okay. The next few weeks are a whirlwind. I accept my place at Scripps, thrilled to finally start my marine biology journey. Victoria moves out, and rumors spread about her sudden fall from grace in the community. Months later, I'm thriving at Scripps. My dorm room overlooks the ocean, and every day feels like a new adventure. I've made great friends, aced my classes, and even started interning at a local marine research center. One evening, while FaceTiming with Dad, he drops a bombshell. Guess what I heard about Victoria? I lean in, curious despite myself. What? Apparently, she tried to pull a similar stunt with her new boyfriend's kid. Got caught red-handed sabotaging the poor girl's college apps. Now she's facing fraud charges. I shake my head, a mix of emotions swirling inside me. Wow, I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. Dad chuckles. You're a better person than me, kiddo. Now tell me about your latest project, something about seahorses. As I dive into an excited explanation of my research, I can't help but feel grateful. Yes, Victoria nearly derailed my dreams. But in the end, she only made me stronger. I fought back, uncovered the truth, and now I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. Life isn't perfect. There are still moments when I struggle with trust, when memories of Victoria's betrayal creep in. But then I look out at the vast ocean, teeming with life and mysteries waiting to be explored, and I remind myself, this is my story now, and it's only just beginning. Amelia's triumph over her stepmother's deceit has come to a powerful end. Now we'd love to hear your thoughts. If you were in Amelia's shoes, would you have forgiven your father for his initial disbelief? Or would the betrayal have been too deep to fully repair your relationship? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective could help others facing similar struggles. And if you enjoyed Amelia's journey, don't forget to like and subscribe for more inspiring stories of resilience and justice. Your support helps us continue to bring these important narratives to light. Hey everyone, I'm Sarah. You know, your typical 17-year-old. Well, except for this chronic illness that's been kicking my butt for as long as I can remember. It's just been me and my dad, Mark, since Mom passed when I was little. We've always been tight. He's my rock, especially with all the hospital trips and meds. Life was pretty steady until Veronica walked into the picture. Dad met her at work, and she really turned on the charm. At first, I was happy for him. He deserved some joy. Veronica seemed cool, always bringing me little gifts. Sarah, honey, how about a girls' night? Face masks and that rom-com you've been talking about, she suggested one day. I was all for it. That sounds awesome. Maybe we could order pizza too, I replied. Of course, anything for my new daughter, she said with a wink. But something about that wink just felt off. Things moved fast. Before I knew it, Dad was down on one knee, and Veronica was flashing a ring so big it could probably be seen from space. Sarah, what do you think about having Veronica as your stepmom? Dad asked, his eyes filled with hope. I forced a smile. If she makes you happy, Dad, then I'm happy. The wedding was small, just close family and friends. Veronica moved in, and I tried to bond with her. We had family dinners where she asked about school, but something always felt a little weird. So Sarah, how's that science project coming along? She asked once. It's going okay, still working on the hypothesis, I answered. Well, don't stress too much. It's not like you're curing cancer or anything, she said, laughing, but her eyes stayed cold. Then came that one night. I woke up feeling like my insides were ripping apart. The pain was unreal. Dad, help, I cried out. He burst into my room, panic all over his face. Sarah, talk to me. What's wrong? It hurts, Dad. It really hurts, I whimpered. From the doorway, I heard Veronica. Mark, maybe we should wait it out. You know how dramatic teenagers can be, but Dad wasn't listening. He scooped me up and rushed me to the car. As we sped to the hospital, I caught a glimpse of Veronica in the rearview mirror. She looked annoyed, like my pain was ruining her night. At the ER, While the doctors worked on me, I overheard Dad and Veronica outside my room. Mark, these hospital bills are going to be insane. Are you sure this isn't just? Just what, Veronica? Our daughter is in pain. Nothing else matters right now, Dad shot back. The way she said, "Sure, of course," sent chills down my spine. Things got worse after that night. I was missing more school, and my treatments became more intense. One morning, I overheard them arguing again. Mark, these bills are out of control. We can't keep doing this. Veronica snapped. What do you want me to do, Veronica? She's my daughter. Dad replied. I'm just saying, maybe she's exaggerating a bit. For attention. I couldn't believe it. My own stepmom thought I was faking it. I wanted to march in and yell, but then another wave of pain hit me. I collapsed. Dad? Help. I called out. They both rushed in, but Veronica's face, she looked irritated, like I was an inconvenience. Sarah, again. Don't you think you're being a bit dramatic? She said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. Honey, are you sure it's not just stress from school? Dad asked, looking torn. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Are you kidding me? I can barely stand, I shouted. Just then, my best friend Alex showed up, thank God. Holy crap, Sarah, what's going on? Alex asked, rushing to my side. She's fine, just being dramatic, Veronica chimed in, rolling her eyes. Alex wasn't having it. She looks like death. We need to call an ambulance now. Let's not overreact. Veronica started, but Alex had already pulled out her phone. But Alex was already dialing, and soon we were at the hospital. The doctors confirmed what I'd been saying all along. My condition was serious, and I needed consistent treatment. Dad looked guilty, but Veronica, she played the perfect stepmom for the medical staff. Oh, doctor, we've been so worried. Is there anything we can do to help our dear Sarah? She asked, her voice dripping with fake concern. The doctor gave her a skeptical look. Well, for starters, bringing her in when she's in pain would be a good idea. I saw Veronica's mask slip for just a second before she plastered on another fake smile. Later, when they thought I was asleep, I overheard her talking to Dad in the hallway. Mark, this is getting out of hand. These treatments, the hospital stays. We're going to go bankrupt. But the doctors said. Doctors say a lot of things, Mark. They're just trying to make money off us. Sarah's young, she'll bounce back. Maybe what she really needs is some tough love. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Tough love. I was seriously ill, not faking it for attention. I don't have Veronica. What if? Trust me, Mark. I've dealt with kids before. Sometimes they just need a push to overcome these things. If we cut off the treatments, make her face life head-on, she'll thank us later. There was a long pause, and my heart pounded so hard, I thought they might hear it. Maybe you're right. We'll try it your way. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My own dad, the one person I thought I could always count on, was turning his back on me because his new wife said so. As they wheeled me out of the hospital the next day, I caught Veronica's eye. She gave me a smile that sent chills down my spine. It was like she was saying I won. But you know what? Game on, Veronica. If she thought I was going down without a fight, she had another thing coming. I might be sick, but I wasn't stupid, and I sure as hell wasn't going to let her win this twisted game she was playing. After Dad and Veronica cut off my treatments, things went downhill fast. I tried to tough it out, but it was rough. One morning, I could barely drag myself out of bed. Sarah, get up. You'll be late for school. Veronica's shrill voice pierced through my door. I don't feel good. I think I need to stay home. She barged in, eyes narrowed. Oh, please. This act is getting old. Get dressed. I tried to explain, but she wasn't having it. As I stumbled down the stairs, Dad looked concerned. Honey, are you okay? Maybe you should stay home. Veronica cut him off. Mark, remember what we talked about? No more coddling. Dad's face hardened. Right? Sarah, toughen up. You can't miss any more school. I couldn't believe it. I felt like I was living in some twisted alternate reality. At school, I pulled Alex aside. Dude, I need help. They've stopped my meds, my treatments, everything. Alex's eyes widened. What the hell? That's messed up. We've got to do something. I'm scared, Alex. What if they put me in foster care? That's when Mrs. Rodriguez, my favorite teacher, overheard us. Sarah, Alex, is everything okay? Before I knew it, I was spilling everything to her in her classroom. Her face grew more horrified with every word. "This is serious, Sarah. We need to get you help." "But what can we do?" "It's my dad's word against mine," I said. Alex snapped her fingers. "Evidence? We need to gather proof." Mrs. Rodriguez nodded. "Good thinking, Alex. Sarah, can you secretly record what's happening at home?" I felt a glimmer of hope. "Yeah, I think I can manage that." For the next few weeks, I was like a secret agent in my own house. I recorded Veronica's snide comments, Dad's dismissals of my pain. It was tough hearing it all again, but I knew it was necessary. One day, I overheard Veronica on the phone while I was supposed to be napping on the couch. "Yes, I've transferred another $5,000. No, don't worry, Mark has no idea. He thinks it's all going to Sarah's treatments." My eyes shot open. She was stealing from us. I quickly hit record on my phone, praying she wouldn't notice. "Of course, I'll be careful. These idiots suspect nothing. I'll have the account drained in no time." I felt sick, and not just from my illness. How could Dad not see through her? The next day at school, I filled Alex and Mrs. Rodriguez in. "She's stealing money too. This is insane." Alex was fuming and Mrs. Rodriguez looked grim. "I've contacted your previous doctors. They're appalled at the situation and are willing to provide statements." I nodded, feeling a mix of relief and fear. "Thanks, Mrs. R. I just hope it's enough." As we planned our next move, a wave of dizziness hit me. The room started spinning. "Sarah, you okay?" Alex's voice sounded far away. I tried to respond, but my legs gave out. The last thing I heard was Mrs. Rodriguez yelling for someone to call 911. When I woke up in the ER again, Dad was there, looking scared and confused. Veronica was trying to smooth talk the doctor. "Oh, you know teenagers, always so dramatic. I'm sure it's just stress from school." But the doctor wasn't buying it. "Mrs. Thompson, your stepdaughter's condition is extremely serious. Without proper treatment, she could now let's not exaggerate." "Mark and I know what's best for our Sarah," Veronica interrupted. I saw Dad's face change. It was like he was finally seeing Veronica clearly for the first time. Before Dad could say anything, I felt myself slipping away again. As consciousness faded, I heard Alex's voice faintly. "Don't worry, Sarah. We've got the evidence. We'll fix this. Just hang on." I wanted to tell them everything, the money, the lies, but the darkness was pulling me under. My last thought was, please let this plan work. I can't take much more of this. When I woke up again, I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. Dad was sitting next to me, looking like he'd aged 10 years overnight. Veronica was nowhere in sight. Maybe the witch finally flew off on her broomstick. "Sarah, baby, I'm so sorry. I should have listened to you," Dad choked out, his voice heavy with regret. Before I could respond, the doctor stormed in, looking furious. "Mr. Thompson, your daughter's condition is critical. The lack of treatment is borderline criminal neglect. I'm obligated to report this to the authorities." Dad looked like he was about to pass out. "I didn't know," my wife said. That's when Alex and Mrs. Rodriguez burst in like they were leading a SWAT team. "We've got proof," Alex shouted, waving her phone triumphantly. Mrs. Rodriguez, always the calm voice of reason, stepped forward. "Mr. Thompson, Sarah's been documenting everything, the neglect, the verbal abuse, and the financial fraud." Dad's eyes widened in shock. "Financial fraud? What are you talking about?" Alex pulled up the recordings on her phone, and Veronica's voice filled the room, bragging about siphoning money from the family accounts. Dad's face went from shocked to utterly devastated. "I can't believe this. Sarah, I'm so sorry. I've been such a fool." Just then, a nurse rushed in. "There's been an accident. A woman named Veronica Thompson." My heart skipped a beat. Dad jumped to his feet. "What happened?" "She was in a high-speed collision. Apparently, she was trying to leave town with a large sum of cash. She's alive, but she's paralyzed from the neck down." The room went dead silent. I couldn't help but think, karma's Dad looked like he was going to be sick. "I need to go see her." "Dad, after everything she did." He shook his head. "No, I need to tell her it's over, and that she's going to pay for what she did to you." As he left, Alex squeezed my hand. "We did it, Sarah. You're safe now." The next few weeks were a whirlwind. My treatment started again, and slowly but surely, I began to feel like myself. Dad filed for divorce faster than you could say gold digger, and the cops were all over Veronica like white on rice. A year later, I was packing for college. Can you believe it? There were days I didn't think I'd make it to my next birthday, let alone college. Dad knocked on my door. Need any help, kiddo? Nah, I got it. Thanks though. Things were still a bit awkward between us, but we were working on it. Sarah, I know I've said it a million times, but I'm sorry. I should have believed you. I sighed. Dad, I get it. She played you. She played all of us. But you came through in the end, and that's what matters. He nodded, tears in his eyes. You're stronger than I ever knew. As I zipped up my last suitcase, Alex popped her head in. Ready to roll, college girl? I grinned. You bet. Let's blow this popsicle stand. As we loaded up the car, I couldn't help but feel grateful. Weird, right? But this whole mess showed me who my real friends were. It showed me how strong I could be. You okay? Alex asked, noticing my spaced out look. Yeah, just thinking. You know, a year ago, I didn't think I had a future. Now, sky's the limit. Dad gave me one last hug before we took off. You show them what you're made of, kiddo. Now here's a question for you. If you were in my shoes, would you ever forgive your dad for choosing Veronica over you? Or is some betrayal too deep to move past? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm dying to hear what you do in this situation. And if you enjoyed this wild ride, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that'll make your jaw drop. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Hey everyone, I'm Olivia Sanders, and today I want to share how I handled some seriously toxic people in my life. I'm 25, an aspiring artist, and I never imagined I'd be telling you about the time my own grandmother tried to scald me with boiling water. But here we are. It all started 2 years ago when my mom, Sarah, passed away. She was my best friend, my biggest supporter, and losing her felt like someone ripped a part of my soul out. The only thing that kept me going was the beautiful collection of jewelry she left behind. Each piece told a story. After her death, I stayed in our family home with my grandmother, Martha. At first, it was comforting, like having a piece of mom still around. But things started to get strange when Frank entered the picture. Olivia, dear, have you met Frank? He's such a gentleman, Grandma asked me one day. I forced a smile. Nice to meet you. Frank, this charming 60-year-old widower, began visiting more frequently. I tried to be happy for Grandma, but something didn't feel right. My best friend, Zoe, noticed it too. One day over coffee, she said, Liv, don't you think it's time you got your own place? Your grandma's acting like a teenager with this Frank guy. I sighed, I know, but I can't just leave her. Plus, all of Mom's stuff is still there. Zoe gave me a knowing look. Your mom would want you to live your life, not babysit your grandma. She had a point, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed to stay. Work became my escape. I was doing graphic design at a small firm, trying to save up for art supplies. That's where I met Ethan. Hey Olivia, check out this design I'm working on, Ethan called me over one day. As I leaned in, catching a hint of his cologne, I smiled. Wow, that's amazing. I wish I could create like that. He grinned. You're kidding, right? Your work is incredible. You should really consider doing your own art full-time. I blushed, feeling butterflies in my stomach. Ethan understood me. He saw the artist in me struggling to break free. But every time I felt like I was moving forward, something at home would pull me back. Like the night I met Frank's son, Derek, at a family dinner. So Olivia? Derek asked, his eyes flicking between me and his dad. How long have Frank and your grandma known each other? I shrugged. A few months, I guess. Why? Derek's expression tightened. No reason. Just curious. Something about his tone unsettled me. But before I could ask more, Grandma Martha burst into the room. Everyone, I have wonderful news, she exclaimed, her face glowing with excitement. Frank and I are getting married. The room went silent. It felt like a punch to the gut. Married? Grandma? Isn't this a bit sudden? I asked, trying to hide my shock. She waved off my concern. Oh, pish-posh, when you know, you know. As everyone congratulated them, a heavy sense of dread settled over me. Something wasn't right, and I had no idea how bad it was about to get. This was just the beginning of a nightmare. In the weeks after Grandma's engagement announcement, everything spiraled out of control. One afternoon, I overheard her on the phone, her voice tense and anxious. "I'll get the money, I promise. Just give me a little more time." When I confronted her about it, she snapped. "It's none of your business, Olivia. Can't an old woman have some privacy?" I backed off, but my suspicions only grew. Things got even stranger when I noticed Mom's antique locket was missing from its usual place on my dresser. "Grandma, have you seen Mom's locket?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. She avoided my gaze. "Oh, that old thing. I probably moved it while cleaning. Don't worry about it." But I was worrying a lot. I called Zoe in a panic. "Zoe, I think Grandma's up to something shady. Mom's jewelry is disappearing, and she's being all secretive about money." "That doesn't sound good, Liv. Want me to do some digging?" Zoe asked. I hesitated. "Would you? I feel like I'm going crazy here." While Zoe played detective, I confided in Ethan during our lunch breaks. "I just don't know what to think anymore," I said, overwhelmed. Ethan reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Hey, we'll figure this out. You're not alone in this." His touch sent a warm feeling through me, a brief respite from the chaos at home. But that peace didn't last. A few days later, Zoe called with disturbing news. "Liv, you might want to sit down for this. I found out your grandma's drowning in debt. And that Frank guy, he has a history of cozying up to wealthy widows and then disappearing with their money." My stomach dropped. "Oh God, Zoe, what do I do?" "We need solid proof. Keep your eyes open and document everything," she advised. For the next week, I was on high alert, watching Grandma's every move. The final straw came when I saw her sneaking out early one morning, a familiar jewelry box tucked under her arm. I followed her to a rundown pawn shop and watched in horror as she handed over piece after piece of Mom's jewelry. Unable to contain myself, I burst into the shop. "Grandma, what are you doing?" She whirled around, her face a mix of guilt and anger. "Olivia, you followed me? How could you?" "That's Mom's jewelry. It's all I have left of her," I shouted. The pawn shop owner awkwardly excused himself, leaving us alone in the cramped, cluttered space. Grandma's expression hardened. "You don't understand," she snapped. "Frank and I need the money for our new life together. Your mother would have wanted me to be happy. By selling her memories, by lying to me." I could barely speak, shaking with anger and disbelief. "You ungrateful child," she spat. "After everything I've done for you." I stepped closer. "Everything you've done? You mean stealing from me, lying to me, and planning to run off with some con artist?" Grandma's face contorted in fury. Before I could react, she grabbed a kettle of boiling water from a hot plate behind the counter and flung its contents at me. Searing pain exploded across my arm and shoulder, and I screamed, stumbling backward into a display case. The sound of shattering glass mixed with my cries of pain. Through the haze, I saw Grandma's face, no concern, no regret, just cold, hard anger. As I crumpled to the floor, cradling my burned arm, one thought became clear. The grandmother I knew and loved was gone. In her place was a stranger, someone who had just shattered the last thread of trust between us. The pawn shop owner rushed back in, shouting about calling an ambulance, but all I could focus on was Grandma, frantically gathering up the jewelry with trembling hands. In that moment, as the pain threatened to overwhelm me, I made a silent vow. This betrayal wouldn't break me. It would fuel me to reclaim my life and my mother's legacy, no matter the cost. The next few weeks were a blur of hospital visits, police reports, and tears. The burns on my arm and shoulder were healing, but the emotional scars ran deep. Zoe was my rock. "You're staying with me," she insisted, helping me pack up my things from Grandma's house. No arguments. I didn't have the energy to argue. As we loaded the last box into Zoe's car, Grandma Martha appeared at the doorway. "Olivia, please, can we talk?" she asked, her voice trembling. I couldn't even look at her. "There's nothing to talk about. You made your choice." A few days later, I got a surprising call from Derek, Frank's son. "Olivia, it's Derek. I heard what happened. I'm so sorry. There's something you need to know about my dad." We met at a coffee shop and Derek spilled everything. How Frank had a history of charming wealthy widows, draining their accounts and vanishing. "It's a pattern," Derek admitted, his eyes filled with shame. "I've tried to stop him before, but he always slips away. Maybe this time, with your help, we can finally put an end to it." I was hesitant. I'm not sure I can handle any more drama. But Zoe, ever the fighter, wouldn't let it go. We can't let them get away with this, Liv. We need a plan. Over the next week, we hatched a scheme. Derek would play along with Frank's wedding plans, pretending to support him. Meanwhile, we'd work with the pawn shop owner to set up a sting operation. I feel bad for ratting out your grandma, the pawn shop owner admitted when we approached him. But what she did to you, that ain't right, the pawn shop owner said as we finalized the plan. Ethan, meanwhile, was my rock. He came over after work, bringing food and offering a shoulder to cry on. But I found myself pulling away, the fear of being hurt again too overwhelming. One night, as we sat on Zoe's couch, Ethan reached for my hand. I flinched. Liv, talk to me, he pleaded. What's going on in that head of yours? I couldn't meet his eyes. I'm sorry, Ethan. I can't. Everyone I've trusted has betrayed me. My own grandmother tried to. My voice broke, unable to finish. Ethan's voice softened. I'm not them, Olivia. I would never hurt you like that. That's why I thought about Grandma too, I whispered. The hurt in his eyes was clear, but he didn't push. I understand, just know I'm here, okay? Whatever you need. The day of the sting operation arrived. We had set up hidden cameras in the pawn shop and wired Derek for sound. The plan was for him to bring Grandma Martha and Frank to the shop under the pretense of selling family heirlooms to fund the wedding. From my spot outside, I saw them enter, Grandma clutching her purse tightly, Frank's arm around her. Even from a distance, I could see the predatory glint in his eyes. As the door closed behind them, I took a deep breath. Whatever happened next would change everything. I just hoped we were ready for it. The day of reckoning came swiftly. I stood in the back of the crowded courthouse, my heart racing as the judge read out the verdict. Frank's smug smile disappeared as the word guilty echoed through the room. It was over. When I went back to Grandma's house to collect the last of my things, I saw her watching from the window. Our eyes met briefly before she quickly pulled the curtains closed. That was the last time I ever saw her. With a nightmare behind me, I threw myself into my art. All the pain, betrayal, and healing poured into my canvases. Ethan stood by me through it all. These are incredible, Liv, he said one night, studying my latest piece. You're turning your pain into something beautiful. I leaned into him, feeling safe for the first time in months. I couldn't have done it without you. Zoe, being the unstoppable force she is, helped me set up my own studio. This is just the beginning, she declared as we painted the walls. You're going to be huge, Liv. I can feel it. She was right. My first small exhibition sold out in a week. Then came a feature in a local art magazine. Before I knew it, galleries in the city were calling. On the night of my exhibition opening, I stood in awe, looking around at the vibrant crowd, my art on the walls, and Ethan beaming proudly from across the room. To new beginnings, I toasted. And to the family we choose, Zoe added with a smile. The pain of betrayal had forged me into something stronger, something unbreakable. As I raised my glass, I silently thanked the hardships that had led me here. They hadn't broken me, they had set me free. The story has come to an end, but now I have a question for you. If you were in my shoes, would you ever forgive Martha for what she did? Is there a line that, once crossed, makes reconciliation impossible, even with family? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experiences and opinions matter, and they could help others who might be going through something similar. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more like it, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support means everything and helps us continue sharing these important stories. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi, I'm Elizabeth. At 52, I've built a successful business, but believe me, managing family drama is a whole different ballgame. Right now, I'm hosting a huge family reunion at my place, beautiful house in the suburbs, if I may say so. But at the moment, it feels more like a pressure cooker than a home. My son, Michael, and his wife, Sophia, are coming, and she's pregnant with my first grandchild. That should be exciting, right? But there's some tension. I try to be nice, but sometimes her way of doing things is just so different from ours. While I was prepping for the reunion in the kitchen, Michael cornered me. Mom, we need to talk about Grandma. I had a feeling I knew what was coming, but I still asked, what about her? Sophia's worried. Last time we visited, Grandma couldn't remember her name. She kept asking if Sophia was the new maid. I sighed and put down the knife I was using to chop vegetables. Your grandmother is just having some senior moments, Michael. It's nothing to worry about. Mom, it's more than that. Sophia's scared to be alone with her. What if something happens, especially with the baby coming? I didn't want to hear it. My mother, Gertrude, has been living with me for years. Sure, she's been a bit forgetful lately, but who wouldn't be at 78? Michael, I've got everything under control. Your grandmother is fine. Just then, my sister Karen strolled into the kitchen. Oh, are we talking about dear old Mom? She said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. I was just telling Aunt Mildred how she tried to pay for her coffee with a button last week. Hilarious, isn't it? I glared at her. Karen has always been a thorn in my side, constantly trying to one-up me. That never happened, Karen. Stop exaggerating. She smirked. Elizabeth, always in denial. Oh, by the way, I heard Sophie's been feeling sick. Morning sickness, or maybe she just can't stomach this family. She chuckled as she sauntered off. Michael looked at me, concern etched on his face. Mom, maybe we should consider getting Grandma some help. We don't need any help, I insisted. This reunion is going to be perfect. You'll see. But as I watched him walk away, shaking his head, I couldn't shake the feeling that things were about to get a lot more complicated. The day of the reunion arrived, and the house was buzzing with activity. I was running around like a headless chicken, making sure everything was perfect. The smell of barbecue filled the air, and relatives were mingling and laughing. But I hadn't seen Michael and Sophia yet. They're running late, my cousin Jane informed me when I asked. Sophie's having a rough morning with the pregnancy. I nodded, trying not to let my irritation show. Of all days to be late. Suddenly, a piercing scream cut through the chatter. My heart leaped into my throat as I raced toward the sound, pushing past confused relatives. I burst into the kitchen to find chaos. Sophia was on the floor, clutching her belly, tears streaming down her face. My mother, Gertrude, stood over her, cane raised, her eyes wild with confusion. Mother, what have you done? I cried, rushing to Sophia's side. Who is this intruder? I caught her sneaking in, Gertrude declared, her voice shaking. Michael appeared, pushing past me to reach Sophia. Oh my God, are you okay? He asked, his face pale with panic. She hit me? Sophia sobbed. I just came in for a moment of peace. I didn't mean to startle anyone. The room quickly filled with concerned family members, and of course, Karen was the first to chime in. Well, Elizabeth, looks like your perfect little family isn't so perfect after all. I've been saying for months that Mom needs to be in a home, but you wouldn't listen, would you? Shut up, Karen, I snapped, but the damage was already done. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. She's right, Liz, Uncle Bob chimed in. Gertrude could have seriously hurt Sophia and the baby. It's not safe. It's not Mother's fault, I argued weakly. Sophia shouldn't have come in unannounced. Are you kidding me? Michael exploded. You're blaming Sophia for this? Your mother attacked my pregnant wife. The room erupted into a cacophony of arguments, with half the family defending Gertrude and the other half standing up for Sophia. I stood in the middle, feeling torn and overwhelmed. We need to get Sophia to the hospital, Michael declared, helping his wife to her feet. This reunion is over. As they left, supported by concerned relatives, Karen sidled up to me with her usual smugness. Well, sis, looks like your big day is ruined. Maybe next time you'll listen to me about Mother. I watched helplessly as they disappeared through the door. The days following the reunion were a blur of phone calls and damage control. I tried reaching out to Michael and Sophia, but my calls went straight to voicemail. The silence was deafening, and the guilt gnawed at me. Michael, please call me back. I'm worried about Sophia and the baby. I'm so sorry about what happened. I pleaded into the phone for the umpteenth time. As if dealing with my son's silence wasn't enough, I began noticing whispers and sideways glances from neighbors and acquaintances. I finally confronted Karen at her house one afternoon. What the hell do you think you're doing, spreading our family business around town? I demanded. Karen feigned innocence. I'm just concerned about Mother, Liz. Someone has to look out for her, especially since you're clearly not up to the task. Her words stung, but I wasn't about to let her see how much. Stay out of it, Karen. This is my family, my responsibility. As I turned to leave, something caught my eye. A stack of papers on Karen's desk. One of them was a bank statement for an account I didn't recognize, but the name on top was clear, Gertrude Williams. My blood ran cold. What was Karen doing with Mom's bank statements? Over the next few days, I did some digging. What I uncovered made me sick to my stomach. Karen had been systematically draining Mom's accounts, taking small amounts at a time for months. And that wasn't all. I found a copy of a new will, dated just 2 weeks ago, leaving everything to Karen. Mom, did you change your will recently? I asked Gertrude over dinner, trying to keep my voice casual. She looked confused. Will? What will, dear? The one Karen helped you write. Don't you remember? Mom's brow furrowed. Karen said it was just some papers for the bank. She said you were too busy to help, so she'd take care of it for me. My heart sank. Karen had manipulated our confused mother for her own gain. The betrayal cut deep. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, Michael finally called. But it wasn't the conversation I'd hoped for. Mom, Safita's in the hospital. The stress from the incident caused complications. She's on mandatory bed rest for the remainder of the pregnancy. I felt the blood drain from my face. Oh God, Michael, I'm so sorry. Is there anything I can do? His voice was cold. You've done enough, Mom. If you had listened to us about Grandma's condition, none of this would have happened. I don't think it's a good idea for you to be around Sophia or the baby right now. The call ended, leaving me more alone than ever. I sat in my kitchen, surrounded by the remnants of the failed reunion, and let the tears flow. As I cried, memories began flooding back, times Karen had accidentally mixed up important business documents, potential clients who suddenly backed out after receiving anonymous tips about my company's reliability, family members who'd grown distant after private conversations with her. It all made sense now. Karen hadn't just betrayed me this time. She'd been undermining me for years, poisoning my relationships and sabotaging my success. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. I'd been blind to the toxic dynamics in my own family for so long. I'd always made excuses for Karen's behavior, always tried to keep the peace. But at what cost? As the sun set outside my window, I made a decision. It was time to confront the ugly truth and make things right. No more excuses. No more turning a blind eye. I picked up my phone and dialed a number. Hello, is this Anderson and Associates law firm? I need to speak with someone about elder abuse and financial fraud. It's about my sister and my mother. The weight of what I was about to do settled on my shoulders. It wouldn't be easy, but it was necessary. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity. I hired Jack, a private investigator, to dig deeper into Karen's financial dealings with Mom. Meanwhile, I scheduled an appointment with Dr. Patel, a renowned geriatric specialist, to assess Mom's condition. We've gathered substantial evidence of financial abuse, Jack reported, handing me a thick folder. Bank transfers, forged signatures, manipulated legal documents. It's all here. Dr. Patel's assessment was equally revealing. Your mother is in the early stages of dementia. With proper care and support, she can continue living at home safely. Armed with this information, I called a family meeting. As everyone gathered in my living room, the tension was palpable. I've called you all here because I have something important to share. I began, my voice trembling slightly, as I laid out the evidence of Karen's deceit and manipulation. Shock and anger rippled through the room as the truth sank in. Cornered, Karen lashed out. You've always had everything, Elizabeth. The successful business, the perfect family. I deserved something for once. By stealing from our sick mother. Michael snapped, disgust evident in his voice. I turned to Karen, years of pent-up frustration boiling over. I've made mistakes, Karen. I should have seen what was happening sooner, but what you've done is unforgivable. With the family's support, I moved forward with legal action. Karen's life unraveled quickly after that. As news of her actions spread, former friends and acquaintances distanced themselves. Last I heard, she'd moved out of state, leaving behind a tattered reputation and broken relationships. Focusing on Mom's care became my priority. I hired a live-in nurse and made modifications to the house to ensure her safety. Slowly but surely, we settled into a new routine. The biggest challenge remained mending my relationship with Michael and Sophia. Swallowing my pride, I reached out again, this time with a heartfelt letter acknowledging my mistakes and asking for a chance to make things right. To my relief, they agreed to meet. Sitting across from them at a small cafe, I felt a mix of nervousness and hope. I'm so sorry, I began, my voice thick with emotion. I should have listened to your concerns about Mom. I was in denial, and you both paid the price for it. Sophia, her hand resting on her swollen belly, spoke softly. We were angry for a long time, Elizabeth, but we've had time to think. We understand you were just trying to protect your mother. Michael nodded, adding, We appreciate you taking action now, Mom. It couldn't have been easy to confront Karen like that. As we talked, I felt the walls between us start to crumble. By the time we said goodbye, tentative plans were made for them to visit Mom, and I had been invited to their next ultrasound appointment. Weeks turned into months, and before I knew it, I was pacing the hospital waiting room, anxiously awaiting news of my grandchild's arrival. When Michael finally emerged, his face lit up with a wide grin. It's a girl, he announced, tears in his eyes. Want to meet your granddaughter. Holding that tiny bundle in my arms, I felt a surge of love so powerful it took my breath away. Sophia smiled up at me from her hospital bed, tired but radiant. We were thinking of naming her Grace, she said softly. After all we've been through, it seemed fitting. I looked around the room, taking in the scene. Mom was dozing in a chair, her nurse by her side. Michael stood proudly next to Sophia's bed. Aunts, uncles, and cousins crowded the doorway, eager to catch a glimpse of the newest family member. In that moment, I realized we have fostered an environment where something beautiful could thrive. The journey had been challenging, and it was far from over. But as I gazed down at little Grace's peaceful face, I knew that every difficult decision and every painful conversation had been worth it. Welcome to the family, Grace, I whispered, placing a gentle kiss on her forehead. We've got quite a story to tell you someday. Now I have a question for you. If you were in Elizabeth's position, would you have pressed charges against your sister Karen for elder abuse and fraud, even knowing it could tear your family apart? Or would you have tried to handle the situation privately to preserve family relationships? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective matters and could help others facing similar difficult family situations. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more like it, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue sharing these complex family dramas and sparking important conversations. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next video.